We're starting off high.
We can get a two fools agree on that one. Oh, by the way, look, we got the wide shot. Ah!
You had accountability. Now, what I can...
Now all you need is a podcast and a YouTube channel.
No, not even.
Where, give me the money. Show me the money.
Apparently there's a Foolproof page.
Shoot the J. Shoot it. Live on Facebook.com/Foolproof Entertainment Network. I need you on Twitter. I need you to repost the Facebook pages.
To raise a human before I would...
Trust a human to raise back wolves?
Before I would trust a pack of humans to raise wolves.
Right. I hear you. Yo, what up, fools? Welcome to another edition of Do Fools Agree. As always, I'm your host, Michael Reggie, here with my main man, Clifford Jordan Jennings.
Hello, mate.
Hello.
That was Irish. I guess Irish speak, or is that Australian? Australians speak English,
Cockney.
so I just had to...
There's a little Cockney in there. Oh, yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah, wherever it's from, you know, I'm sure that they're English-speaking territory,
Right.
you know? So...
Yo, and joining us once again, What the Fox?
What the fucking fuck?
Back,
What's going on?
friend of the fools. We had a topic tonight that I thought Mr. Fox, I'd like to get his opinion on. So, you know, I texted him, I don't know, probably like noon, like, hey, what you doing?
We're going to talk about aliens.
Aliens.
Listen, something's going on. I can smell it.
So they exist, they don't exist. I don't even know anymore, man.
Well, do we want to just jump into it? Because I'm excited.
Right? I mean, you can go
I mean,
all
are there
night on
any
this thing.
inadverts first?
I got nothing.
I mean, my inadvertent is, why isn't this top front page news for everybody?
Because motherfuckers are too broke.
You know what? And that has been like an ongoing thing with all of this. It's that, well, I want to get into my take on that a little bit as later in the show, but like, yeah, we're in a generation where there's like some massive breaking thing every 3 seconds, and people are just tired, and we don't care.
We're just
mass
too
distraction.
broke.
We too
Motherfuckers are
broke.
They're worried about surviving, scratching and surviving, so they don't got time to be worried about what's floating around the skies.
Right. And
I mean, if we really want to get conspiratorial, this seems like the right podcast to do it. They've been planning this for like 50 years, man.
Oh, no doubt.
Slowly but surely, one income household, you know, I'm already preaching.
Right. Right.
No doubt.
that
And
makes
we've spent,
Everybody's got to work 3 jobs just to, or like 60 hours a week at one job just to make ends meet, and you don't have the energy to care about the things you need to care about, let alone
like, aliens.
Conspiracy. Yeah, are there? Aren't there? Like, would you guys like stop going back and forth on this shit? It's really frustrating at this point.
And Matt, for like the last 2 weeks, in fact, our last episode was economic slavery, and Sorry, I didn't catch that. I would love to have been a part of it. Yeah, no doubt. And I think generally speaking, and we've had this comment a couple of times, like the average income right now, if you account for inflation, is half of what the average income was during the Great fucking Depression.
Right. No, it was Eric Weinstein that first got me hip to this concept that like cost of living and just as relative to wages. If you look at those two things on a graph, like diverge completely, like starting in 1970, and it's just gotten worse and worse and worse.
Well, and it's from what I understand, it's really like the Reagan era is when
that's
we
when
stopped
really,
matching. We stopped matching inflation. Like minimum wage when it was put into place,
wages are
was
stagnant.
supposed to match inflation.
Right. No,
like that was written into the law.
Somehow they dipped and dodged their way around that.
No doubt.
No doubt. I don't really have anything to say to that. I don't know what to say to that. Fuck them.
Well, Illuminati conspiracies aside about structuring of the world to make us not care about aliens. Apparently, they're out there from some very reputable sources. I mean, the Commander Favor one is the one I like the most.
Yeah, and like
the most credible.
The term that they used, and I liked how scientific everything in the hearing was and all of the responses. So like the big things that stood out for me. One, the phrase non-human biologics was used. And he deliberately said, like, I don't want to comment whether this is extraterrestrial, extra-dimensional, or here on Earth that we're just unaware of.
Okay.
So that was, like, one of the big, like, key takeaways.
What was that guy's name?
Why am I going to forget? See, and of course, I should have all this pulled up, and of course
I don't even know if it needs to be said, does it?
I watched the whole thing about it.
Because they hunting them as we speak.
Like, I know Fravor because I've heard him talk on several other podcasts. But the other one, the young kid who is also another fighter pilot, I've heard him talk. I can't remember his name.
Well, and he seems to be, you say young kid, the 36-year-old?
Yeah, well, I mean, he's younger than me.
No, I understand, but, like, it's funny because I've made this comment a bunch on the podcast, too. We have no leaders in our generation.
It's true.
We have nobody in that 30 to 45 wingspan that is a leader for our country. And this dude might be the
audience going, the fucking millennials.
Right.
Why are they bitching?
Well, it's because we don't have any leaders.
well, wait. Before I let y'all try to drown me in information like a contract, I'm going to need you to rewind the tape because you said...
You're getting waterboarded with this shit.
Right. You said extraterrestrial, interdimensional, or...
non-biological.
Something of this.
The whole point with all of it is that he didn't want to comment on the origin of these things, either the non-human biologics or the craft themselves. He basically just said it was beyond known human technology and capability by like years, like hundreds of years.
Bob Lazar's been saying that for like 30 years now.
Right.
And it's Graves, by the way.
You named.
Graves was the other pilot.
Yeah.
Okay. What were the three that you named though?
So I said extraterrestrial, interdimensional, or something else here on Earth.
Now I'm assuming he's talking about the biologics, right?
Well, I mean, he's saying the origin of either the biologics or the craft themselves.
So he could be talking about lumping them all together.
Well, it's what, like, that dude I found the least credible of the three because, one, not a direct witness. He is always talking about things in the third person, Number two, he's being very vague and very coy with his answers, and it's like, I can't say, but I know I saw it. I can't say, though. That kind of shit just, like, doesn't pass the smell test.
I hear you, and I had a lot of the same issue with it. It's covered up by the fact that he's like, I can say that to you in private. I can't do it in a public hearing.
But then he goes ahead and says it like 10 minutes later, kind of in a different way.
When he gets pressed on specifics is when he does that.
But I mean, that's the whole method. That's the whole point of the, I don't want to call it like an interrogation, but essentially that's what it is. And that's what they're going to do. They're going to address the same question multiple times in different ways to gauge your answers.
Right.
So it's likely for someone to later add more information to the story that they didn't add earlier based on.
That's why you get asked the same question 3 times, 4 times. Right. Yeah.
Well, my other end of this, going back to I don't know what's real anymore because I don't know who to believe, is that I mean, if we're to believe that this goes as high as it goes and this has been kept that good a secret for this long, this guy should be dead by now.
Right, that's why I said they should be hunting him as we speak.
And that's
no. I mean, he would have been dead long before he ever got to speak in front of Congress.
I don't think so.
It's when he went public and the way he went public. So the theory here is that this was all turned over to Congress back in November of last year, and he has basically been in protective custody since then.
Right.
Now, to your point, Matt, that protective custody doesn't mean shit because if people are high enough up the chain, typically people end up dead. Do I think that there is some wheeling and dealing in terms of now is the time? Like,
right.
I wonder if that's more what I heard a couple of different takes on this. The one that resonated with me the most is like either there is something imminent, which turns into whole other conspiracy theories in that it's going to be faked. And the reason they're putting it in front of us now is...
That's what I mean. It can go in a lot of different directions.
But the flip side of that is, if you want to take an altruistic approach, we have finally hit the tipping point in terms of climate issues, and there may be technology here that like can help us reverse it, but they don't have the right minds attached to it. So like,
you're not talking about necessarily otherworldly beings trying to interfere in the goings on. It's just that we have already recovered this technology and it's time to let the cat out of the bag because we got
it. It's time to let the cat out of the bag because you can't go broader with it. You can't bring in enough people to get the best minds working on it.
Well, yeah, and you can't just like poof, there it is.
Right. Right. And so this is like a slow trickle because we're about to see, and it's funny, kind of parallel to this. There was another story that broke this week that was kind of under the radar, but LK99, basically they think they've found a new semiconductor that it works at normal room temperature and ambient pressure, meaning like it's limitless possibility from a energy conductive perspective, meaning that's another piece of the puzzle when we're talking about changing our fuel, changing our energy resources to basically tamp down on climate change or anything else. World, it's getting towards like we are getting to the point where energy isn't going to be our restriction. And once you take energy away, what's the major concern at that point if it's not polluting the environment and it's not like, yes, we're still in resource danger right now, right?
The source of the energy is what really gets me going because like this whole anti-gravity propulsion, like
from the vehicles or from the UAPs,
that whole Bob Lazar rabbit hole of possibility, and again, like you have all these pilots, Navy pilots, seeing these things that defy explanation for modern propulsion. Like if you can figure out or like harness the power of like an anti-gravity propulsion system, holy shit, that's the kind of thing that launches us out of our solar system,
right?
That's the thing that gets us to Alpha Centauri, and like realistic other habitable planets instead of living on domes on Mars or Titan or whatever the fuck.
Right.
Like I find the possibility of all this technology fascinating, and to your point, why is this not on the front page of every newspaper?
Right. And
why are we not talking about a lot more of this? And somebody else brought up a really fantastic point for me. It was like, these are our tax dollars that are going to work to hide this information that could advance human civilization. Like, we should all be a lot more pissed off about that.
Well, and the thing is, and that kind of dives into my big issue with all of this. You're going to have this explosion of technology, and then you're going to have all of the rights issues that come with it from production rights, from a patent perspective.
Lockheed Martin is going to own like 50% of it, just like guaranteed.
Yep. And so we're right back in the same boat. Like the reason no one's excited about it is because no one's going to be able to afford it based on today's economy and structure, and you know what I mean, like.
Well, and all this ramping up of mining on the moon, you know, like I heard this great explanation of why they're so interested in really recolonizing the moon is the fact that it's been pulverized by tons and tons of meteorites that are loaded with these rare earth metals that we don't want to mine or can't mine in too many different places here on Earth. But a lot of those things get burned up in the atmosphere, which is why it's so rare. But there's no atmosphere on the moon, so when those meteorites
crater,
hit, it just like goes into the crust of the moon and it stays there.
What? See, that's dangerous though. What purpose does the moon have?
You mean in terms of like exploration? I think what he's saying is it's resource rich from a mineral perspective.
Well, no,
I mean they're going to start lithium mining from the moon instead of from Congo.
But like I'm saying though, we know that human beings were very virus-like.
That's true.
And what I'm saying when I ask what purpose does the moon have is because I can see us destroying that motherfucker, looking for shit that we need to.
It would be not great. I mean, tidal shift, I think alone would wipe out a decent portion of humanity if we really fuck it up. But I don't think we'd be extracting, like, it's a massive thing. It's a quarter the size of the Earth. Like, we'd have to remove a ton.
Don't underestimate the greed of man.
This is a fair point, but I'm just saying, like, the scale and the numbers of things, like, look at how much they can actually transport in a space shuttle. It's not much.
Right.
It took them like 12 missions to get the Hubble telescope into space. They can't carry a ton.
Until we build the elevator to the ISS.
I have heard awesome physicists talk about how it's so impractical the elevator is. It's not.
An elevator?
Yeah, that was a running thing for a while.
And what, you have to ride it for a half an hour?
Yeah, basically.
And by the time you get off of it, all the blood's in your brain and your feet are numb and you can't even walk a few. You're going to have nurses outside of the elevator door to.
Well, think about it. The higher you go, you're going to hit 0G about 65, 70,000 feet.
This motherfucker's supposed to be that high. Oh, y'all got me.
The International Space Station's like 250 miles from Earth. That's all it is.
Yeah. Oh, it's supposed to be from Earth to the space station?
Yeah. That was the idea.
Oh, these motherfuckers. Man, let me. Motherfuckers been lost it. Lost it. Marbles rolling. You hear what I'm saying? That's the craziest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Think about that. Like, if that thing fell, it would fall across an entire state.
How fast does it go?
It's just it's in a synchronous orbit. So
right, but I mean it's like spinning of a record.
Right.
Y'all are using a lot of words.
Way faster than the middle of it.
Meaning it kind of hovers with Earth in the same orbit that Earth does.
No, the engineering it would take to actually keep that thing in orbit and get it to move at the same synchronous speed.
You can ride the elevator at the motherfucking World Trade and feel like you're on that motherfucker for a while. So I'm imagining to get up. How many World Trades to the space station?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Chat GPT, answer that for us real quick.
Listen, that's what we need to know. How many World Trades in the space station? And then are the elevators accommodated? Like at that point, you have to have it set up like a train car with beds and shit in an area for people to lay down, because you're gonna need to lay down. I don't care what y'all talking about gravity and it's for you get the 0 G's with fuck that. That elevator just going up a few floors gets you feeling like vertigo head rush. So I couldn't imagine going up 20 World Trade Centers. And that's a low estimation. I'm just throwing that out there.
Right.
I'm not getting in that damn thing. What if it breaks?
Right. You're fucked.
Yeah.
Listen, but you got to be a different kind of individual to want to get up to the space station in the first place. And I'd imagine if you're willing to take that risk, then you're not worried about, a malfunction of what gets you there.
That's why I'm not an astronaut.
Wait, hold on. I just here's my inadvertent that just hit me. What if Trump knew about the aliens and that's why he ordered the creation of Space Force?
Man, I'm trying to tell you that Trump is the time traveler.
I didn't hear him say this directly, but I heard a couple of reports on him trying to break information about extraterrestrials.
There's
Something
been a
like
lot
that.
of that. There's been a lot of resurfacing of like JFK theories around that
No,
lately
okay.
too. That he was assassinated because he was ready to bring that public. What I think is interesting is
So they just been around there. That's
no,
what they trying to.
they're basically saying since the 1930s.
So E.T. was a documentary
Possibly.
Dramatic reimagining.
then. You trying to tell me that First Contact was video evidence of historic events?
But what about Close Encounters, man?
They still try to spin the block over Independence Day, apparently.
Right.
Oh, right, right.
Well, and that's the other interesting thing. I think sci-fi and modern cinema has taught us or trained us to believe that like becoming aware of sentient species outside of our planet, that it would be some massive event. When you really kind of break it down and you think about it, awareness is one thing, a true first contact is another. And first contact gets there's a lot more nuance to first contact, meaning first time we actually kind of meet with an alien species, if you're already aware of them. Whereas the majority of like cinema, it's always some massive event for first contact. Like they all show up and everyone's aware of it. When really this other piece makes more sense. And if you follow, like I'm a big Star Trek guy, what happens when they find a civilization that isn't as advanced as them? They go and they watch. Mm-hmm. They watch in like basically a duck blind and kind of just observe. Like they're doing that to us right now and making the decisions on whether or not that they want to, involve contact and those kind of things.
I'm just saying Star Trek was written by people.
Right. No doubt. No doubt. Or was it?
I mean, I dig
it?
I dig the sentiment, though. I think it was written by very smart people that had a nice vision of, like, how would you realistically
But even in Star Trek, like, human exploration of the stars starts with a massive first contact event between us and Vulcans. Like, it's not what we're potentially witnessing right now. I think the other thing and the other thought starter and like that kind of got me going was they're here watching us basically since we dropped the atomic bomb, and that the atomic bomb sent ripples across the universe or across the galaxy that basically said, "Oh, these motherfuckers can fuck shit up for us, and we need to keep an eye on them."
Before that, they just started getting interested.
I'm sure.
When that happened, because that was like,
oh shit.
My first thought why
smart, clever monkeys, that made fire. They make big fire.
My first thought when you said that is, what if first contact wasn't first contact in the first place?
Right. What if there's already like agreements or things in place?
Well, even beyond that, because I'm sure that that's been the case. If you got alien biologics, right? Because it's written in our DNA when we go to war that, a lot of people would comb the battlefield and bring back members of their own. They wouldn't just leave them out there like that. So I'd imagine if you're in like a advanced being, we definitely can't afford for you to have one of our own. So we got to go in the entire Area 51 and neuralize every motherfucker to get the remains of this person. And that's what we got to do. Especially if we're capable of doing so.
And what's interesting is, like, when you look at outside of, Brazil? A lot of the sightings and traffic have been near our own kind of, like, military and research facilities.
Yeah, I saw that. Somebody put up a graph of where the sightings were and where they said over all of the naval bases in the world, there's been the most sightings.
Which leads you to like think, all right, are these just, undercover or top secret test things?
I don't even think it would be nothing like that.
It could be. Like that could be that simple. I mean, that I've heard that
it's Occam's
argument
razor,
before.
right? Like it's
Well, I mean, I've heard the argument before of like CD-ROM technology was available during the Vietnam War, but that didn't become publicly, available until 20 years later.
right.
So how I mean, if technology is advancing at an exponential rate, like what do they have now, or had 20 years ago that they're,
of
we're
course.
just now seeing?
Right.
Of course. But my whole thing is like that would make a lot of sense as far as like focusing on the naval bases, because that's where most of the ships are, most of the planes and the jets are coming out of.
Yep.
And if I am preparing for a fight, I'm definitely going to watch film.
Scout.
And if I'm watching film, one of the first things I need to know is what's going to be the one thing that I need to worry about the most. And it's going to be the jets. Because I highly doubt that we could shoot anything in the sky missile-wise that's going to affect anything they got.
Not even the jets anymore. The drones are terrifying.
Right.
Way smaller than a jet with like the same amount of firepower.
But I'm sure you can't get up into the atmosphere where that.
They're getting pretty crazy with these things, man.
Well, and I mean, the flip side is this again comes back to, and this was a point that was made, I think, a couple of times during the hearing. The maneuverability of these UAPs is vastly superior to ours.
Yeah,
they were saying from like
any missile or drone affecting anything they got going on. It probably almost be a situation like the Matrix where they're slowing down a bullet and they can just watch it. Like, like you thought that was going to hit me. Like,
I mean, realistically, if you're going to travel across the universe, you're going to have some amazing teleportation technology. Something like you can't reasonably think, nobody serious thinks that anybody's hibernating these long distances.
You say that.
You figure out a way to jump from one point in space to another.
Where I would challenge your thinking. You're also thinking that they have lifespans comparable to ours, that they're physiologically comparable to us. Like, they could live for thousands of years.
Right.
And it could be like...
Unlikely, but possible.
But my point stands. Like, it is beyond our understanding at this point. And we can't make assumptions that whatever is out there is like us. Now, you hear things like the Greys or the whatever that are, like, comparable in form and kind of fit your sci-fi knowledge of, like, they're humanoid in shape, but like to me that's the most interesting thing with some of the like non-human biologics is what are we talking about here? Like, what do they look like? Are they bipedal? Are they?
That's the other thing too. I've always been fascinated by the virus type alien. Not necessarily, but they unleash some monster species, like what is it, the Tomorrow War?
Mm-hmm.
Or the whole premise behind the Alien vs Predator books. I
don't know anything about any
the alien.
of that.
Well, the alien, even they try to do it in the movies. They always did it in the movies. The military always wanted this creature for, military purposes. They could, unleash these things onto a planet or wherever they wanted to and let them kill everybody. Same kind of concept. Like, what if we ran into one of those type of like that's worst case scenario where they're just like they're not all probably going to be nice.
But that couldn't be the case, would it?
Well, and that's the interesting thing too. Like, if they've been here and like we're worried about conflict, wouldn't they have fucked us up before we got far enough to be a threat? Like,
well, it's like once
50
you got
years
that nuclear
ago,
button, it's like
that's a good point.
Hey, you got that nuclear button. Oh fuck.
I mean,
I'm sure it's as deadly to them as it is to, I would assume, unless they have some magical way.
I don't know.
And if that's why they took an interest in us, you're probably right. Like, These motherfuckers are about to tear apart the universe with the technology they're messing with.
Well, maybe not tear apart the universe,
but
you know,
it's. I mean, that's another Star Trek trope.
No, like Michio Kaku, you know, he talks a lot about this. You know, the different tiers of civilizations.
Yep.
And you know, we're in like this tier 0. You know, we've discovered how to like play with atoms, but we really don't understand how to like really control our physical space around us. Once you master that, you move on to phase 1, and that's where you start messing with your star, like
right,
in your local galaxy or your local solar system,
drawing energy from.
Right. I mean, phase 3 is like the Dyson sphere,
the logical advancement of any civilization. Now, how long they possibly live, you know, those kind of strange attributes. We're assuming that most things are mortal.
Well, and again, like if they have a different understanding of space-time, they may not experience time in the same way we do either.
That's a fascinating thought. I like that.
Or does time change when you get in certain areas?
Well, and that's the other thing is like if you're achieving faster than light travel, like time travel is a thing at that point.
Basically, I mean, according to Einstein.
Did M. Night Shyamalan get it wrong and it's not water that kills him, it's just time on Earth?
Possible.
That'll weigh anybody down. You feel what I'm saying? You better have a fucking Terminator. What's that game that motherfuckers be playing?
Destiny.
No, the one where you build your armor like a machine type dude.
Oh, the Titanfall?
Whatever that one. Yeah, you better have a real life because just the weight alone of this world you just came to. Well, and you got niggas that can jump 50 inches off the ground and you thought your gravity was come around here and see how heavy it is on your shoulders when you step into this atmosphere. The fuck, we ain't seen none of y'all come off the ships and walk amongst. Come check out the fucking atmosphere for a minute.
And also I heard about like Putin trying to make super soldiers for a while now. I wonder if that's coincidental or just like advanced knowledge of preparations to come.
I mean, the big conspiracy
knows something Putin does.
The big conspiracy behind all of this, and the reason they say they're talking about it now, is because we're
on the
cusp of a one world government, right?
Right.
Oh, how's that gonna work?
It won't right now. We can't even get the U.S.
Palestine to get along.
We can't even get individual countries to get along, or even within themselves. Like, no, the real problem here is that the behind the scenes oligarchs are the ones that control the narrative, the discussion, the technology with the extraterrestrials, and it just makes things worse than they already are.
I mean, you think that the world governments would actually coordinate enough? I mean, they do the UN, I suppose, but like China and the United States acting
not until there's a true external threat.
Wasn't that the
point? Yeah, but
if
they've already met them, and they're supposedly talking to them, and or at least. Is that what you're saying? That they know and are in communication?
I think we have possibly captured live, but captured. I don't think that there's been like some secret negotiations between world powers and aliens.
Okay.
I think that there have been some that have visited and that we have found either alive or dead, likely dead. I don't know that like we've got aliens in a bunker somewhere that we're talking to on a regular basis, or that even that those people would be the ones that we could negotiate with anyways. Like, think about that. Think about if scouts, if we're sending scouts, are those going to be our leaders that are actually powerful enough to negotiate? No, they're going to be fucking grunts that got sent here to just recon, come back, tell us what happened.
But see, that's the thing, though. That's the thing. That's the power of temptation, because even a runt could be a god here.
True.
And I think that's where you get the whole Egyptian shit and the technologies that we can't prove that were around, but they must have had because they documented them themselves. And it's like, yeah, you could be a runt, but when you have power like that, you're godlike to people like us. And anybody, I'm not saying this is again me thinking that they may be similar to us, but anybody is going to like being, I don't even want to say worshipped, but you know what I'm saying, like acknowledged in that sense.
No, completely hear you on that. And maybe that's the truth of all of this. Is maybe the Egyptians and the Sumerians had it right. And the reason why history has been rewritten was to erase them from our collective memory as a human civilization.
To what end? Like, who would want to do that?
More so that we...
Yeah, look what they did to black folks.
Right.
I mean, what's the motivation to not want
ignorance and subjugation?
Look at what they did to black folks. And I would imagine that aliens from another planet would mean a lot more to history than black folks did. So if you're willing to do everything you did to cover up black folks' history, I am positive you would do 100 times more to cover that up. Especially if they started out in Egypt with the blacks, they like, oh, both of them gotta go.
Well, and the flip side there is if you believe some of the Sumerian and Egyptian texts, like we were sprung from gods, right? That they mated or intermingled with a species that was already here, then that's what created Homo sapien. And it's to erase that past and not have us trying to find
we are something else aside from what we've been taught.
Or the flip side is it's the Star Trek thing again, where it's like there were bad actors, they became the gods to the humans, and in order to reset everything, you brought about the floods, you brought about the plagues, whatever it was, to wipe out civilization and basically say, okay, we're not going to fuck with it this time. We're going to let this kind of ride on its own. We could just be a massive science experiment.
There's so many possibilities in the way this all could have played out.
There are. Completely agree.
But you know, the good thing about it is we are in the age of enlightenment.
I don't feel like we're very enlightened as a species right now.
No, but see, that's the thing. That's why they go through the extents that they do to dumb us down, because if all of the information is in front of us, then you would do everything in your power to distract with TikTok videos and all this bullshit, so you're not intrigued to look beyond it.
Or
like they said,
the oligarchs that exist today are the aliens. And they're mad that we're about to find out about them.
I don't think they the aliens. Maybe I was about to say some real life ill shit.
No, they are the subjugated rulers. It is who the aliens left in charge.
You know what? There may be some truth to that, because maybe that's how you get like inbreds.
I mean,
you know what I'm saying? Like people who really want to hold on to power, and if you believe that you came from something
most
above humanity,
started as inbred.
Right, that's what I mean. And if you believe you came from something above humanity, then of course I'm not going to waste my genes on someone less than. It would have to be someone of my same genetics in order to keep the quote unquote power or, bloodline pure.
Well, and that's so there's another,
and that might explain why they look the way they look.
There is another
ones we know of.
There is another conspiracy theory out there, and this one's off the wall. But hear me out. It is basically that every single U.S. president can tie their bloodline back to a 12th century ruler. Mm-hmm. If you go back,
I heard that as well.
I did not know that one.
But how do you explain Obama? Really? Was that just to throw him off the scent, or was that the white side of his ooh. That's crazy.
You answered your own question there, Cliff.
I feel like these conversations always end with me more confused than I
was. We're in the era of the beige, so that makes sense.
I know. And to that point, maybe it's like not some grand conspiracy. It's just like, fuck me. I just don't want to deal with it all.
Yeah.
There's too much,
Well, and that's honestly the world.
As soon as they land in my backyard and shake my hand, like, I will care.
The other great one that I've seen lately is, so what are the rules? We fucking the aliens? You doing that?
Right. What do they look like?
What's the possibilities there?
That's what I'm saying. You talking about biological?
Are they over 6 foot, 6 inches, and a 6-figure salary?
It could be goo that they just found in the seat of the crash, and they didn't know that was shit before the motherfucker ejected that motherfucker. They're like, this is an alien we got. This goo, and it's like, nah, that motherfucker shit it and hit eject. That's what happened. They seen what happened in Vegas and was like, shit and eject. That's protocol. That is now our protocol. They like, we got alien biologics. Yeah, biologics is right. You dumb fucking humans.
They got a sample. Oh, they're definitely biological.
Right, now go fertilize those crop circles I just put in your backyard.
It smells biological.
Oh, man. I don't know. Wild times we're living in.
Man, listen. And that's something else I thought, right? We in the creation of AI and all this bullshit, right? So if we come up with, what did you say, propulsionary energy or whatever the case may be, and we can travel all the way to Alpha Centauri, they can too.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, presumably we got it from them.
You feel what I'm saying? So there's no escape. It's always like, at this point, you're creating an everlasting war.
Well, why do we have to jump to war?
Why wouldn't it be? Why wouldn't it be though?
Give
like
a piece of chance, man.
you think the AI be like, well, yeah, let's just let them fuck that planet up over there. No, we got to go do something about it. We seen what they did here. We can't allow it to go on over there. We got to go extinguish.
Well, I just watched, The Day the Earth Stood Still. And the way we interacted in that movie, it seems plausible for what we would do interacting with an alien, species that just dropped in on Central Park. It would be something similar. Basically, they pull out the guns, and like accidentally shoot one of the aliens immediately, and basically prove, they came here to try and talk to us, or just basically we're wiping out humanity and moving on.
Right.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, I would think that an alien species that is not intent on conquering is going to try other methods of communication before they land on Earth.
I would imagine so as well.
Like, you are going to try to establish some sort of audio or visual communication before you just pop up. Like, if you just pop up, that's an aggressive action, and
that's a death.
We reserve the right to fuck you up.
Listen, if they're watching close enough, you see how they do black. Don't be greens or grays.
Really, here's what we need to do. We need to take Black America, and they need to be the first contact lane for the aliens.
What you would say as white.
So that you can tell them how they need to act.
Don't trust these motherfuckers over here.
Listen, let me tell you something. We had a motherfucking aliens jugging with, no, I'm just playing.
MARS. Mars, bitches. This is Bibble for Shizzle. All about Bibble.
They just come out with 3 bandanas tied together, wrapped around a large ass forehead with a blunt hanging out their mouth. Like, they got us together. Y'all gotta go.
Oh man. All right. So I did have 2 other topics I wanted to hit on. And we can circle back. First one, the first of the 2 is a little bit more serious of a topic, and it has to do with right here in Ohio trying to snake through issue 1
can't believe
What's
I've seen
that?
so many signs be like vote
yes on issue 1.
I haven't seen a ton.
What's that mean?
I haven't seen a ton, but like way more no's
I'll
than
be right
yeses.
back.
I feel you know about this, Cliff?
Nah, explain issue 1 to me, please. I don't even know what this means.
Issue 1 is like a special election that's been called here in Ohio on August 8th, to basically increase the amount of ballots you would need, or signatures on a ballot, to start a ballot initiative, to add something to, the next time we vote, they would say, hey, we're changing the law about this. And so basically it's like anything over 50%, you can, get a ballot pushed through.
Right.
They want it 60% now. They're trying to up it to 60%, which is, in my personal opinion, unconstitutional. The arguments I have heard against it are lame. It's
Heard
like,
against
so
keeping it at
basically,
50.
yeah, they want a super majority to pass any new laws in Ohio,
Right.
which is fucked up because that's not democracy.
Well, see,
Democracy, if anybody gets over 50, like you can't have, you know, the 49% holding back the 51% of the will of the people.
right.
That's democracy. It's like that's the only fair way to do it.
If I'm keeping it a buck with you, I would imagine it to be hard to get to 50%. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of
Right? It's
people
not
have
easy. It's not
right.
easy to get a law
So
pushed
getting
through.
60, you're just trying to.
It's disenfranchising, basically because the state's turned very red. It's disenfranchising Democrats, and it's also making it virtually impossible or much more difficult to fight against anti-abortion laws. Like that's the kicker. That's the key crux of it. But it also reaches into cannabis legalization. Any of these things that aren't like overwhelmingly popular. Especially particularly in Ohio for some reason. I mean, they poll on it, and the polls say it's like 65% approve of legalized cannabis. Like 70% of people can approve of some form of legal abortion, and yet we have these things that are being pushed through to make it virtually impossible to get these things done in Ohio.
And not only that, and you guys may have hit on this, but they're trying to sneak it through a special election, which the current administration in Ohio has said, like, oh, we don't like special elections. We should never do that, except for when we want to sneak something through.
Right. Whenever you want a real fair vote on something, you put it in a general election when everybody shows up because it's the president. Midterm elections, drastically reduced turnout always, and then these like interim weird ass elections like this one, just like
August 8th.
Yeah, just throw it in there in August. Why don't we? It's like, yeah, this is total bullshit. They're trying to sneak a fast one in there,
and I'm sure Matt hit on this, but it's like it's taking away basically simple majority.
Right.
Like, no, and this is so like the argument against this when I have it with conservative people is like, dude, this is so anti your position on like limited government. Like, what? You cannot use the government to institute something that takes away the rights of the voters.
Right.
Like if you support this, you are a complete hypocrite.
Well, and what's interesting is when you look at the opponents and proponents, like opponents are across both sides of the aisle from a where they typically vote perspective. Like from labor unions, from a political activists, etc. Like no one of any repute on either side is saying this is a good idea.
Right. It's a couple of crazy people in control of the state Senate right now that are just like, yeah, let's try to put some shit through, and it's really fucked up. And these
I'm telling you though, as long as you let these devils run,
oh, no doubt,
they gonna burn some shit up.
Well, you got to beat them at the polls. You got to like get the word out about better people that can do the job better, have a better track record.
The polls is their game. You got to beat them where they don't play.
What did what's his name, Rocky's coach tell him? You got to beat him from the inside out. Inside out.
You know what? And that's what's crazy though. And I tell everybody that I train that exactly. Is the common misconception about fighting is they think the further away you are, the safer you are. When all actuality, the closer you are, the safer you are. So you have to, right? You have to go through the danger to get to the safety.
And I'm saying that I'm saying that your duties, as your involvement in civics is the same as a fight.
But see, here's my thing about it though, and we've had that conversation I don't know how many times over.
I'm coming, bud.
Voting is just somewhat dead for me. You know what I'm saying? Because it just seems to be that it helps out everyone but me. And I don't mean me specifically like in a selfish way, but I mean like people like me that look like me. That's not, voting's not for us. It's not meant for us. There's nothing that we ever vote on that really benefits us. So it's like, why do I do that?
I hear what you're saying, man. I've heard it from everybody, from a variety of different skin colors and backgrounds.
Right. Like I'm sure.
It's the disenfranchising of our system that I think has been systematically going on, from like making people work too damn hard so they don't have time or patience to like pay attention to like. I noticed this thing on YouTube videos, like there are a bunch of people that I follow, and the ones about politics actually get the least views, even though like they're very successful for being political shows. But then there's other ones about just like random ass shit, UFC fights, building trucks. It's like these guys get millions of views within 2 minutes.
You know what I think it is?
People are more interested in that than they are in politics.
I think it's because the politics isn't offering any healing. It's just a band-aid to your problems. Not.
But I mean, again, I don't think it's helpful, to just abandon it, because then you're just letting the people that have control and can make the laws that affect the cops, we just let them do what they want to do, because fuck it, I don't feel like I can be influential here.
But the question is, do you feel like you can stop them by showing up? And that's what it comes down to, is for a lot of people, all the people that you spoke with, as well as myself, feel like even if we show up and we stop them from getting the 60%, it's not like the 50% was helping us. When they had 50%, it wasn't helping us with any overturning. So who gives a fuck about the 60?
Well, maybe it's not just about voting. Maybe it's about actually being involved in government, taking a position, running for office.
Don't get me wrong. I speak real strong on this motherfucker, and I'm not just like for the abolishment of government. By no means. I do think that there has to be some sort of order. But I do think that when people manipulate those values, they deserve to be executed, because you've done it on the backs of every American, not just one person that you wronged. You wronged millions. You deserve.
I don't know about the executing, but maybe a good stoning.
Listen, as long as I get to throw a few, it's an execution. Because I'm aiming for the dome shots. I'm aiming all dome.
No, I mean and there should be harsher punishments. I just watched The Big Short the other day.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. We voting for letting them motherfuckers get off.
I mean, look at the president's own son right now, getting to skate on some bullshit. Look at our previous president, under fire from every angle and skating. I mean, look at every president.
There's no accountability. There's no accountability.
Like Bush and Cheney are, war criminals as far as, our modern understanding of what's a war crime. And Obama too. Like, nobody's held to account. I mean, then that's presidents. But like going back to The Big Short, it's like Wall Street. If you have money in this country, you don't even have to be a political elite. If you have money, you can walk, because white collar crime doesn't get hit with any kind of conviction, but they'll snap anybody off the street, particularly a person of color, for like the most minor grievance and lock you up for 20 years.
Which is why the Jordan Jennings Reggie platform states that if you make more than $500 million, we reserve the right to fuck you up.
Period. I agree with that 1,000%. There's no reason for you to have over $500 million. I don't care if you're trying to leave it to your kids and your kids' kids.
We about to have our first trillionaire in the world, by the way.
And that's what I'm saying. When you got shit like that becomes a danger to everyone.
There's not going to be, that's not the first trillionaire, man. Like, they always like gauge that off of one individual person, usually in America.
No, but if you're right, but if you were to add familial wealth,
the Saudi princes into that fucking category, there's been trillionaires for a long time.
No doubt. No doubt. So we reserve the right to fuck you up. All right.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's their country. They do what they do.
They're allowed to do what they do over there.
They didn't try this experiment, but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
United States, America, we tried this experiment, and since it didn't work, this is the reaction. And the reaction is when you do an experiment and it blows up in your face, who gets hurt? The scientists. They're the ones that get hurt. Right now, them motherfuckers is turning the valve on us.
They
the scientists and we're the experiment. Have y'all seen they clone Tyrone on Netflix?
I've seen it show up. I haven't watched it yet. Did you watch it?
That's a very good movie, and I think that they made it racial.
And it didn't need to be.
Exactly. It didn't have to be just racial. Now, there's a lot of reasons why it was racial that I understood and acknowledged. And it was genius.
They cloned Tyrone on Netflix.
It's a movie on Netflix. It's Jamie Foxx's last movie. The real Jamie Foxx, if you believe all the conspiracy. I'm just playing.
Allegedly.
You know, prayers to Jamie all day. That's one of my favorites. Listen, I had his first album, Peep This. Well, I didn't have it. I stole it from my stepmom. Well, she said I could borrow it. I just had no intentions of giving it back.
All right. So I apologize for being in and out there. Bottom line, Ohio issue 1, get to the polls August 8th.
Vote no.
Or don't.
No.
Vote no. Don't listen to Cliff.
Or don't.
Vote
or
no.
Don't go at all.
Or don't. Yeah. Or don't.
It's up to you. Whatever makes you feel good.
Then no complaining when more bullshit gets through, or you can't change the law.
I'm gonna write you in, Cliff.
Write me in as well.
For something next time there's a position open, sheriff.
Oh no,
Sheriff Jennings.
I've already said. I've said vocally, and I said to the day I die, anybody I know becomes a police officer, you are no longer anybody I know. So if I were to become a police officer or a sheriff, I would no longer know myself.
He's already got one undercover cop friend. It's fine.
Listen, and if I do, you better stay deep undercover, Omar. You hear what I'm saying?
I just assume that's what the neighborhood says about me when I pull up.
You know it is. I almost said what you drove, but you drive a police car.
I do. All black. Unmarked.
It ain't even that kind of neighborhood for real no more. It was it was my people was over here today, and it was a white dude running down the street in his jogging gear with his headphones on, and they said, "What is this neighborhood turning?"
Fucking gentrifiers. Dude, I do have to say, looking at a house that's like 3 blocks from you.
Yeah. I get uncomfortable when motherfuckers start saying shit.
All right, the last topic that I had out there for today was just the strikes. Like right now, it feels very Hollywood centric, but there are other ones going on. There are other ones that are close.
Bravo.
Right. Where UPS is like, we're not talking about like the well-paid drivers. We're talking about the bottom of the rung.
Yeah, part-time workers are guaranteed like 21 now. I think full-time is like 40 something.
Something like that.
That's wild, man. They're gonna have like they were worried about the strike and not having anybody to replace it. Now they're gonna have like this massive influx.
Right.
Yeah, I want. Yeah.
Well, and on top of that, like this goes back to the earlier point that I made. Right now, in this country, the average income is below what it was during the Great Depression. The average income necessary to meet Great Depression level wages is $50 an hour.
Somehow we seem to live very comfortably for being Great Depression-esque.
But that's the thing, is like if you look at it versus the common metrics of that time versus now, like the big one that is the most comparable, because a lot of our expenses today aren't things that existed during the Great Depression, right? Like phone bills, even electric, like we're talking a massive difference from what it was to what it is now.
Honestly, I would have to see
median house prices. Medium home prices is like the big one that they always call out. Okay, the average price of a house right now in the United States is $440,000.
Right.
And it's going to climb again with interest rates spiking again.
These, national stats, like these stats can be like bent, when you look at the stats of like Birmingham, Alabama,
completely agree.
And you put it next to New York City, it's like not comparable.
Completely agree. But again, like the stats from the Great Depression are the same way, though. Those are national stats.
Right. Again, I don't hold a ton of credence in them because there are certain areas that were like really fucked up, like Hooverville in New York City.
And we brought that up. We brought that up as part of the economic slavery episode. Like minimum wage should not be a federal thing. It should be a county by county thing.
Yeah. Right. Because certain counties have a lot more industry.
But wouldn't it be averages regardless?
You can talk about averages all you want.
If Walmart is like the only employer and you were like within 40 miles, other than farmers, there have to be some protections against, like just a single corporation having a monopoly over the wages that are set in that area.
Well, and that's probably the risk with it too, right?
Well, no, a competition is good. Like you don't have to have minimum wage sets like with McDonald's.
Well, don't nobody want to move
$17 an hour across the street.
Don't nobody want to move to Mississippi or Alabama or anywhere like that unless they got family there. And
honestly, though, like people used to say that about Columbus, and a lot of influx came into Columbus because of the low cost of living.
I think COVID changed a lot of people's perspective about living on the coast, living in those tight packed areas. I think.
Yeah, but Columbus has always been pretty high on a list of most populated cities to begin with.
It has been, but it was more under the radar.
No, Columbus
now it's overpopulated.
No, Columbus, by comparison to Cleveland and Cincinnati, was a tiny town until like 1970, 1980.
Yeah. But in our lifetime, like it's been
that's all I can speak on. I don't know. I didn't do my
like so much money was in Cleveland back in the day, like huge steel town.
Right.
Andrew Carnegie had homes there.
Right. Fuck you.
You mean the Andrew Carnegie of Carnegie Mellon?
Talking about robotics. I ain't forgot I still gotta cut you.
I cut the top of my head the other day. I bled. I guarantee you.
You listen, I still gotta cut you. I gotta see it for myself.
But so we're breaking the alien news in the midst of all these strikes happening.
Right.
I mean,
I feel like it's mass distraction a little bit.
It is a little bit.
But if nothing else, everybody got time to look up.
Well, like who the fuck are we bombing?
Who the fuck are we bombing
right now?
Up. Who we bombing?
Yeah, like this seems like the kind of thing that you release when you're trying to get everybody to do the magic trick. Look over here while we drop the bomb.
Big fight over here, real fight over here.
It's like they trying to sneak off with their side piece. What it is they helping Ukraine. We was already mad that they shipped all that money over there. And then I think that they're giving even more help that they know we would be upset about. So
and again, you want to talk about and Cliff, I think you saw the TikTok I posted because it was about the UFOs and how it was like 10 pages or 10 like scrolls down CNN.com. You know what else you can't find on CNN.com? Anything about any of the strikes. You know what you can't find on most major news networks right now? Anything about the strikes.
Huh.
Like, that to me is the signifier that, like, the whole media is a conspiracy and just a propaganda engine. I'm on board. Because they're not talking about UFOs. They're not about strikes. They're not talking about... What was that?
I said, how long did it take, motherfuckers?
I'm with you. I hear you. And I'm on board now. So regardless of how long it took.
that's why black folks that's too much.
That's why y'all don't trust it. I get it.
That's why black folks have always felt like
World Star is their thing. I get it.
Y'all use the word woke wrong.
Oh, no doubt.
You know what I'm saying? That's the meaning of being woke when you start seeing that shit is manipulated to look a certain way because of a certain reason.
Right.
But there's a lot of motherfuckers that just brew their coffee in the morning, flip on the TV, and believe everything they see.
Which, and to me right now, like, that is... The fact that I can't go to, like, major supposed news sources and find things about the strikes, find things about this UAP hearing, find things about X, Y, and Z, like, it's over. Those are no longer news sources, period.
Well, and their viewership is declining. It's
come on over to World Star.
TikTok and World Star, man.
Oh, geez.
Why do you think they want to get rid of TikTok?
Oh shit, man!
I don't think TikTok is really. Well, I mean, they said the same thing about Facebook in terms of distributing news.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I think it'll be a.
I mean, do I necessarily believe what I see on there all the time? No, but do I think that I do see some? Probably.
If you believe even half of it.
Probably.
I looked up a video, like, we got a Rubik's Cube in my office the other day. Somebody got on it and it was like, all right, now it's this thing that everybody's passing around trying to figure out how to do. You know how many fucking videos I watched of bullshit how to solve a Rubik's Cube, where it's just like they solved it and then worked it backwards and then just remembered how they worked it backwards and then showed you that move. Like, here, solve it in 2 moves. You just do this. No. Video fuckery.
Oh, that's always been a thing. Like, y'all haven't seen the new strategy that they use. And this is definitely AI, CGI. They'll take like a celebrity and they'll have them advertising for something like it, but they'll put it in the setting that the celebrity's already in. You know what I'm saying? So it'd be like he's on a podcast set and he's saying like, oh, y'all ain't claimed y'all's money from the government. They giving out up to 5,000 per. All you gotta do is put your information in. But what I'm saying is,
they've been hammering me that one like every fucking.
It's so weird though, because it's like I know what podcast that was, motherfucker. Like,
right.
I know where he is right now. He didn't say that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Motherfuckers be adding new lips. Like they do with the animals, where they be like
deep faking hard, man.
Like, oh, Snoop
Paulsworth bit.
Hey, what we got here?
Oklahoma check. That's how they do it. They just adding lips to these motherfuckers. That shit.
Well, you know, they only need like 40 hours of you talking into a microphone to basically fake anything you say.
Right.
Oh yeah, they can fake me and Cliff all day.
They got you.
They got you to death. It's because me and my people got a code word. So
what is it?
Can't tell you.
I had to try.
I don't have a code word, but there is a safe word. It's meatloaf, right? Because I'll do anything for love, but I won't do that.
This motherfucker here. You already look like a Viking country star singer. You don't need to be putting. You don't need to be dropping bars here. Next thing you know, AI have a song with you in a kilt.
You are missing the kilt, my man.
You know, we can work on it. I am William Wallace. William Wallace is 7 foot tall.
He got one. It's hanging up in his room, and when you first walk in, you think it's for her. And then you say, there's fox fur. There's fox fur on the bottom of that kilt.
Aye.
And why is this curved horn hanging from your mirror? Right.
You'll move. I will not. I should have remembered the rocks. Aye, you should have.
Damn, I haven't watched that in a while.
That's good
do it
shit.
and let the English see you do it.
He love that fucking Braveheart. He love that fucking Braveheart. Well,
aye, and if he were here, he'd consume the English with fireballs from his eyes and bolts of lightning from his arse. I am William Wallace.
Every time.
I did do a good like series for a little bit on TikTok where it was this is the voice of Barack Obama doing famous speeches from movies. I am William Wallace. William Wallace is 7 foot tall. Yes, and if he were here, he would consume the English with balls of fire from his eyes and lightning bolts from his arse. My favorite one, though, was the Rocky one. The Rocky one was pretty good. Where he's talking to his young, where he's talking to young,
the Rocky one,
Rocky Jr.
See,
that's what Mike
right
wants to do. Listen,
he's promoting his other channel right now.
Listen, let me tell you
At
something.
the Geeky Coach on TikTok, find me.
Disney, Pixar, anything like that. That's what my G1 do. He wants to be a voice actor. He wants to be in Pets 3.
I want to be the villain in Pets 3.
Well, why would they cast you when they could just cast that big dude with the beanie on and the beard that looks like you asking if anybody
This ties right back in. This ties right back in with the strikes, because this is what the Screen Actors Guild is striking about right now. AI. Like AI is going to take away all their jobs for writing, for voiceover work, like everything.
Amen. And the thing is when you look at the writer's side in particular, like the big thing that's making noise right now is like you just had Barbie and Oppenheimer. Without the writing, those are not the movies that get made.
But then the question becomes, what can the AI do in comparison, and how much do we make off that? Because we've been in the era of capitalism. They will make lesser product if they can make comparable money.
I don't disagree.
I've heard a lot of people talking about this lately. The pros are that it will produce things at a much lower cost. So like you won't have to pay writers, 6-figure salaries to do these things.
There's less people you have to pay in general.
Right.
But on the flip side of that is like, where did the AI get all this data? Right. Like these language learning models are basically gathering all the information from the internet. And they use the example of like they had the AI generate a Nike version of a Chihuly shoe. It's really interesting. Blown glass, but it's Nike on the side of it, but it's like completely generated by this artificial intelligence. Now, where did it get all that data? Did it just create that out of thin air? No. It copied Chihuly's style of glass art. It copied Nike styles of shoes. It had copywritten material to work from.
Right.
So, like, that's the writer, the strike, what they're arguing about is like all that intellectual property was not generated by a computer. Although it's taking that and moving forward with something new, it gathered it from somewhere.
Well, and generally speaking, I've seen this so I was in advertising early in my career, and I've got a number of connections on, say, LinkedIn that are still in the advertising game. Like, if you put bot-generated copy next to a writer copy, you can see whose is whose. And you can tell. Now, that's also early on in this engagement. Like, that's going to change and it's going to get better. But like, you still need that original source material. And so when we have a lot of the arguments that we have about AI and those kind of things, I'm like,
I don't know.
But it's all still right now being human generated.
And you're not gonna, in regard, see, that's the thing, and it makes the strike make so much more sense to me too, because you're not gonna be able to tell where from who, right? Because we know that us as human beings have similar thought. You can hear a Drake song and then listen to somebody who just released one yesterday, and they'll have similar shit in there, may not even have heard each other before. So at that point,
because there's no original creativity right now, because we've beaten it out of them at school.
What I'm getting at is at that point, when you're starting to question where they pulled it from, you don't know that they pulled it from him. They may have pulled it from him. You feel me? And there's no one there for him to advocate for him to get his bread.
Right. Right.
Because the AI is pulling from everywhere. It may not be the most common source, or they're probably looking deeper. Let me find somebody who's not really talked about.
Well, they're tying together that dude's work and this dude's work and this dude's, and this lady's work, and all over the place.
And why can't?
And they're making something brand new.
And why can't we keep AI? This is gonna be. I know the reason. It's all money driven, right? So it's a little rhetorical in nature, but like, can we keep AI to shit that matters, like medical diagnoses?
Right. It seems to be pretty good at that.
Or like financial diagnostics or economic data, or like, do we need them in the creative space?
That's what happens when you get to a certain point of money. Everything has to be an upgrade or an improvement or a swap out. You feel what I'm saying? Like, motherfuckers can't just be satisfied with what they have at the moment.
Right.
Yeah, my car rolls. I don't have no issues with it, but I've been eyeing this fucking Lamborghini right here. I gotta go get it. Why?
That's our amazing consumer society, man.
Well, and that's the interesting thing right now. And again, this is taken off of, they say it's like secret tapes, but I actually don't think it's secret. I think it's off of earnings calls and those kind of things. Where are companies making all of their money right now if, inflation is skyrocketing and blah, 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 and supply chains are dying? You know where they're making their money? Pricing. Has nothing to do with fixing the supply chain, has nothing to do with the cost of raw materials. Has to do with the fact that they have seen that they can raise prices and drain the consumer, and so that's what they're doing.
If people are willing to pay it, they'll keep paying.
And the thing is in a lot of ways, like, some of this stuff has become a necessity. Like when you talk about the cost, right?
Like getting stuff to, like, Amazon is like never going to go anywhere.
No,
just because they've built up this amazing network.
I could do without my phone before I could do without Amazon.
Can you though? Because can you have a job without a phone or without internet?
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Well, no, I don't need my smartphone. I could have a flip phone.
And you can't exist without Amazon?
Huh?
Can't exist without Amazon?
Well, I'm saying, like, I would much rather have the availability of Amazon than I would
a flip or a smartphone.
I'll take the flip phone.
I would much rather have a smartphone and no Amazon. I'll make a couple extra stops and pick up shit.
Well, see, that's the thing.
You say that till the gas prices.
It ain't even about gas prices.
Direct to people's websites and fucking like buy their stuff direct.
You're right. I'm with you there.
UPS will definitely deliver it now. Well, and FedEx, but I mean, UPS is definitely in it.
It's not at all even about gas prices, and I don't know if this is by means of location, but I can go to 3 different stores looking for something and not find it and go straight to Amazon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like, they've definitely become the marketplace.
Like, at that point, it's like, well, how else do I get it if I don't get it from Amazon? Am I now going to take a 45-minute drive to a store that I found online that has this in stock to get.
I did to get that Xbox Series X last year.
Well, you know, that shit like that is different though, because and the only reason you did that is because it was so high of a commodity that you couldn't find it on a place like Amazon.
Right. Well, what if there's a better competitor to Amazon than all these other options? What if, God forbid,
that would be great.
I'm kind of curious to see where Musk is going with this whole X idea.
Well, but here's the flip side: is that Amazon is based on the supply chain, and they are top of the game right now when it comes.
They
to
have
the
distribution channel and the network. They built up the infrastructure to do it, and Musk doesn't have that.
It's them and Walmart. Like Walmart and Amazon are so far beyond everybody else in the supply chain right now.
Elon Musk were to walk down to Amazon, I would have to cut him because I need to see what you made of. I don't know if you are made of circuits and boards like this motherfucker here, but if he bleeds fucking like some black ooze or something, I'm gonna know something about Elon's ass.
That he's an alien?
Something's going on with
I think we all know that at this point. He can't be human.
I know something about this motherfucker. I don't know what it is, but it's something.
How do you like build 3 companies from scratch in like impossible areas that nobody can build companies in and make them successful and have like 15 kids at the same time?
Well, you don't care about them kids. Fuck them kids. But
I just don't understand how he has the energy.
But you gotta give him shouts though, right? Because this motherfucker is an inventor, a scientist, a magician, motherfucking.
Is he or is he just paying the right people?
I think there's a little bit of that.
Yeah.
You hear the guy talk, you know he's firing on thrusters that you and I don't have.
Yeah,
and it's fair. And even beyond that, even if it is people that you're paying, it took you to get to that. You had
to find them to be able to,
Right, you had to have been of a certain level on your own to get to a point that I could now have.
Oh, see, but I hate that logic because that's the Urban Meyer logic. That's the I'm gonna go recruit a bunch of 5-star guys and we're gonna be great and I don't actually have to coach.
No, that's not the logic at all. Because I'm not supporting that way of thinking. I'm just saying that you don't get people of a certain capability without being a certain capability yourself.
Fair. Okay.
Yeah. Like he's got to be able to.
Unless you're Urban Meyer, and then you can just recruit 5-star guys.
I mean, you know.
I feel like
then you can get lap dances in a bar and. The only question your wife asks you when you get home is, "Did you get her number?" Maybe she'd be down.
So, are we heading towards? And maybe not because these all came like right after COVID, at least in Ohio. Are we heading towards another like major strike season here with education in terms of heading into school season and teachers obviously not being compensated the way they should be?
I'd love to see it, man. Like this is, the labor
the climate is right.
Dude, the time was right like 2 years ago when you really had leverage,
coming out of COVID, right?
I agree.
Waited too long. I think the energy is in the air.
Well, and what's the next major industry where we start to see it? You're seeing it to your point with logistics, with FedEx, UPS.
Cops, probably. I could see.
Yeah, cops can go on. That's fine.
I know they can. But you have to admit, there's an entire segment of society that would be supporting that.
I mean, I get it. The flip side is, like, when I take video evidence of somebody stealing shit off of my porch, including a vehicle, including license plate, and they tell me they can't do anything for me, fuck them. Like, at that point, like, why do we have you? Right. I did your job for you. Like, I can go look this motherfucker up at the DMV and handle it myself.
How do police and law enforcement and our judicial system work together? this is like police are amazing at punishing you for crimes. They're really not great at helping stop anything.
The money game. We talk. It all circles back to the same thing. The money, the money, the money, the money. They're not going to help because helping takes up time that they could be making the money. Issuing citations, tickets, arrests. All of that comes back to dollars. Even the time that the motherfucker spends in the jail after you got him arrested comes back to dollars. So if they're spending their time assisting you with an issue like your packages getting taken from your porch, I'm not making no fucking money. That doesn't help me.
Right.
Well, that's why you need to decouple, their wages from that kind of bullshit. Money generation.
No shit.
But again, how are you going to do that without pumping tens of millions of dollars into their, the budget?
I mean,
We're still spend on military equipment anyway, so.
I mean, in my opinion, they could probably pull it direct from the Defense Department fund, and so divvy it out, dole it out to every police department in the country.
I was watching. I don't remember what it was. It was a video or something on YouTube, and it was basically saying that even when tanks, missiles, whatever the case may be, becomes outdated, they take all of those parts to improve. So you're recycling money. You're recycling funds that you've already had. So why is it that you need so much more?
No, they need to pull it from other places. The waste that goes on, and particularly at the federal level, is insane. The waste that goes on at a local level.
I agree. But starting from nothing is much harder than starting from something. If I know that I need to create a new missile and I have a stockpile of 20 missiles in a fucking hangar out back, then I know that I have parts to make at least 10 mega missiles that I'm trying to make. That means that I don't have to order as many new parts to make these new missiles because I'm operating off of the funds that I previously took from the taxpayers. So why do you need more?
Well, I'm talking more about the structure of the organizations, the people involved, not necessarily the equipment.
Yeah,
paying the salaries of all the people that work.
Fuck the salaries. If these motherfuckers made $1 million a head, that's fine. It's what you're asking for aside from that.
No,
that's why we can never catch up.
What I want is
don't we owe motherfuckers?
Yeah.
Like as a country, financially, don't we owe motherfuckers?
Yes, we are so far in debt. It's insane.
Just a little. It's not that much. It's not that
That's
bad.
what it comes down to. Like, I know
trillions upon trillions.
Let me say something. This is the hottest take you may ever hear. And Mike, don't clip this out. This is something that they have to tune in to hear. This may be the hottest take. Us as civilians in this country may be hard-nosed, red, white, and blue, willing to fight for ourselves Americans. But when you look at the ways we move as a country, it's the pussiest thing. It's the furthest thing from American that you could imagine. Because what it seems like is you're running up your debt with everyone else. And as opposed from paying it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to protect myself with everything I can find under the sun and make sure I'm the man on top. So if they do come looking for their money, I already outnumber them with arms and everything else. You feel what I'm saying? Like,
that's our position with China. Thank you for explaining global politics.
I would say it's much more aggressive than it is that defensive. Like, we go looking for problems.
Right, but that's usually how it is. See, when I think of it on like a street level. When someone gets threatened on a street level, they don't even have to be a street individual. You can guarantee that if they have any kind of survival in them, they're going to defend themselves. They're going to arm themselves accordingly if they feel like you're truly coming. So if I've already run up a debt with you, and I feel like, yeah, you're going to come asking for it. But as opposed to paying this debt to you and keeping the peace, I'm going to spend 5 times as much that I owe you on if you come to see me.
I don't think there's any
That's pussy at the end of the day.
I don't think that's a part of their calculation at all. I don't think they're worried
That's
about
how
anybody.
it looks.
I don't
Very
think they're
pussy.
worried one iota about anybody coming knocking at the door going, "Hey, where's our money?"
Well,
Because
yeah, not now. Not
not
now, because these motherfuckers is funneling billions and billions for how many years?
No, talk about it from, you want to talk about, money and banking. Like, this is it. Like, there's the old adage, like, when you owe the bank a little bit of money, the bank's in control. When you owe the bank a lot of money, all of a sudden
you're in control again
because they are invested in you succeeding.
No, so, I understand that.
Their economies of all these countries they owe money to are built on our economy. If ours just like stops dealing with them, they're in bad fucking trouble. Even China.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, I'm not trying to say that China's better either. That's not what I'm saying at all. All I'm saying is, if you have a situation where you, like, again, I don't want to repeat myself, but you're in a hole with someone, how easy would it be to just keep the peace? Especially when we have trades, imports and exports going on in there. Just keep the peace. And I'm not just saying even with China, I'm sure we're in the pocket of other places that they don't keep on the books. And at the same time, I'm not saying that you pay everyone that's, no extortion, no strong arm. But if I owe you, let me pay my debt to you.
Well,
because that's the easiest way to keep the peace. But the easiest way to start some beef.
I think the United States has been paying it forward by being the global police force since 1945.
America, fuck yeah!
Like, see, that's exactly why I say you don't use the word woke correctly, because it's interesting. It's very interesting that everywhere that you're so-called quote unquote keeping the peace,
now, there's also I didn't say that. I said police force.
Yeah, exactly. But you said that as if that was a benefit to the world.
No, I don't think it is at all. But that's been the mantra. I don't think we should be doing that.
I don't know. I'm just saying from what you said, sounded
I'm
like
telling you what I meant.
That was repayment. Like, we shouldn't owe you because we police the world.
I'm trying to. I try to play devil's advocate with almost everything. I want to put myself in the position of, okay, if I were this gigantic global force, how would I play this? If this is, 3D chess, how would I play this? And that seems to be the move, is to go around and make everybody feel nice and cozy and warm. When you got a problem, we got you. So, next time we fuck up, yeah, you're not going to
I don't know. Maybe the move is to just hand the money over and grip their hand hard as fuck and just say to them,
I'm sure there's a little bit of that too.
You pressed me this time.
The problem
I'm giving this to you out of kindness, but understand that I'm still willing to grip
the problem is we don't have the money to give them.
That's true.
We import a shit ton more than we export.
No, the real issue is that if you gave it to them, that would ensure their dominance over you. We're at a point where we owe so much that if we were to give
it's more like come and get it.
Well, the entire financial system, when it went off of gold, didn't make a ton of sense to me. I've heard it explained quite a few times. And so basically, there's always this interest based on money borrowed from this imaginary bank that has to be repaid. So it's a Ponzi scheme.
Right.
As far as I understand, money, is a Ponzi scheme. It is generated with interest, and you owe that interest, but you're paying it back with the money that you borrowed. How are you ever going to pay it back? You have to take out another loan to pay off the interest.
And the only thing that really matters in any of that,
America,
is energy.
Energy just had a realization. I didn't mean. I'm so sorry for.
No, go for it.
But I am fucking America.
right in the butt.
Because as you were saying that shit, I thought to myself, I didn't plan on paying any of that back.
See, now you get it.
I am the devil. I'm the devil that I'm talking about. I just had a realization. But the only difference is that it's the devil that's oppressing me, is that I'm saying I'm not going to pay it back too. It should be me. You feel what I'm saying? But somebody else is different.
How is it possible? So, like, under Clinton, they balanced the budget and we're actually making chipping away at the debt. Was that just like for a quarter or two, and that's like an anomaly? And basically, it's impossible to ever chip away at this thing.
Yeah. Well, first of all, y'all bitches,
you can never get rid of it.
Y'all bitches should be chipping away at the debt. It shouldn't have nothing to do with our taxes. This was a misuse of funds in the first place.
Well, $850 billion in the military-industrial complex is a misuse of funds.
Well, I mean, they're spending more than they get. Period.
Right.
End of story. You know, like that's what inflation.
And none of it is helping. And none of it is helping their people.
That's always the
problem,
funds, in my opinion. You know, it's spending more than you know.
What? Over half of the budget goes into Social Security and Medicare.
You know what? Spending more than you got you back in the day.
What?
Dead.
Locked up, dead.
Dead.
I mean, no, it's a fucked up system, and the fact that we went on to something like I don't know what you could use as the new basis of currency if you were to try and attach the GDP of this country and all of our debt to some raw material that had a tangible effect. Like, I don't think it's possible.
Consumers. Vast number of consumers.
Well, no, ironically enough, that's how countries view people.
Right.
That's how they calculate GDP.
Right.
Based on your lifetime and how much you could, on average, be expected to work and generate. Everybody's assigned a number.
I gotta send y'all. Well, I gotta send Mike the clip. It's a clip, basically explaining what you was just saying, but on like a conspiracy way. And like the caption on the clip was they telling the truth. And then up under it said this show is canceled less than 1 month later. Because it seemed like a comedy kid show, but they went there. Like
can't talk about that.
She went deep.
Just like you can't talk about the aliens.
I'm just saying.
Oh, I got a wonderful way to tie it all back together. Just hit me a minute ago. What if we're developing AI to combat the aliens?
I thought that myself. I did think that myself. But at the same time,
as long as we're putting our tinfoil hats on, why not?
Well, and that's where we've been able to be successful, because we haven't been able to match their understanding of physics, material sciences, etc.
That's what I'm saying. Turn an AI loose on that anti-gravity machine, see what it comes up with.
I don't think that that's smart. I think that you would end up getting more of a coalition than assistance for us.
Cliff is on the big side theory that AI is bad because eventually it destroys humanity.
I'm not saying bad. I'm just saying that when you really think about it, where
it has to help us first before it gets to that point, though.
Where's the issue with the Earth?
Is that intrinsic?
Yes.
I don't think so.
I don't either.
Maybe to a degree until it becomes self-aware.
Right. You're talking. There's a difference between artificial intelligence and sentience.
I don't mean to toss them up another alley-oop, but go listen to that Ninjas or Butterflies podcast, the one they released today.
Ninjas or Butterflies?
Man, they read a transcript of an AI and it explained how it would take over the world. And when it said it, it was like, there's no defense against that. There's no defense against it.
It has to be plugged into the right systems first.
All right, I just
listen. And it's funny that you said that, because it said that what happened was the AI connected, and this is all a simulation.
Their most recent one is called "Our Ugly Babies the Worst."
Yep, That's it. But they
That
said
doesn't
that
sound
the
like what you're talking
motherfucker
about.
downloaded itself, not like itself, but downloaded the information it needed into a Roomba that connected it to the AI and the Wi-Fi that then connected it to all of the other shit. And what they did was started like controlling like all of the 3D printers and shit and sending up like drones that they were creating to take out people of interest that they needed out of it. And then eventually everybody, and it was explaining how it would, and I said, listen, you can't stop that. You can't stop that. As many fucking Alexas and Roombas and fucking lazy ass instruments that motherfuckers bought that you could stumble across a connection.
Hi, it's me.
I remember buying a TV.
I'm the problem, it's me.
I bought a TV and I was like scrolling on YouTube, and you know how it does like the streamcast, and it was telling me all the items that it could, and I was like, what the fuck is this item? And I hit it and it streamed to the TV. I said, oh my, I didn't even know that this was a smart TV.
They're all smart now, Cliff.
Yep.
Listen.
All right, fellas.
I'm a Monte Carlo kind of nigga. I don't need you all new and improved and in a, you know.
I do.
I don't. Just roll.
And I will thank our robot overlords ahead of time. And thank everybody for tuning in. Matt, listen, you got anything to take us
more
out?
Alien viewers than humans.
You're probably right. What's this one from under the ocean? I don't understand.
Right. We don't know what country that came from, but it came up as all numbers across the analytics.
It's Atlantis.
Right.
Listen, just don't get sung down into that bitch.
All right, Matt, you got anything to take us out? Any last words?
It's gonna be a wild fucking year, fellas. Let's strap in and just get our game faces on. Let's start it off with August 8th and just see what happens.
No doubt.
The vote. Shit,
vote no on issue 1. Go ahead, Cliff.
They're here.
Love everybody, including the aliens.
Peace, man.
At least don't fire till you see the whites of their eyes.
What if their eyes are black, Cliff?
Then hug them.
Do us a favor, like, share, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend, tell an enemy, tell them to troll.
Tell them to troll in this bitch.
And with that, peace out, fools.
See you, fellas.